Book of Heaven Volume 3 by Luisa Piccarreta. Page 61–67. April 1, 1900. Passions changed into virtues. After waiting and waiting, my sweet Jesus made himself seen within my heart. I seemed to see a sun spreading its rays, and in looking into the center of this sun, I could see the face of our Lord. But that which amazed me was seeing many maidens clothed in white within my heart, with crowns on their heads, surrounding this divine sun and nourishing themselves with the rays which this sun was spreading. Oh, how beautiful they were! Modest, humble, all intent on Jesus, and delighting in him. Not knowing the meaning of this, with a little bit of concern I asked Jesus to let me know who those maidens were. And Jesus told me, "These maidens were your passions, which now, by my grace, I have changed into as many virtues, which form my noble cortege, remaining all at my disposal. And I, as recompense, keep nourishing them with my continuous grace." Ah, Lord, yet, I feel I am so bad that I am ashamed of myself. April 2, 1900. Jesus judges according to the will with which one operates. This morning I had to suffer very much because of the absence of my dear Jesus. However, he repaid my pains by granting a desire of mine, of wanting to know something which I had been yearning for a long time. Then, I went round and round in search of Jesus. Now I would call him with prayer, now with tears, now with singing. Who knows whether he might be wounded by my voice and so let himself be found? But it was all in vain. I repeated my moans, I asked about him to whomever I found. Finally, when my heart felt it was dying and could take no more, I found him. But I could see him from the back, and remembering about a resistance I made to him, which I will write in the book of the Confessor, I asked for his forgiveness. So it seems we placed ourselves in accord. So much so, that he himself asked me what I wanted. And I said to him, "Be pleased to let me know your will about my state, especially what I must do when I find myself with little sufferings and you do not come. And if you do come, it is almost like a shadow. So, not seeing you, I feel my senses present within me, and finding myself in this state, I feel as if I were adding something of my own and as if it were not necessary to wait for the coming of the Confessor in order to go out of that state. And Jesus, whether you suffer or not, whether I come or not, your state is always a victim. More so, since this is my will and yours, and I judge not according to the works that one does, but according to the will with which one operates. And I, my Lord, it is fine as you say, but it seems to me that I am useless and that much time is wasted, and I feel a bother, a fear. And then, having the Confessor come torments my soul, for it may not be your will. And he, do you think it is a sin to have the Confessor come? And I, no, but I fear it is not your will. And he, it is sin that you must shun, even the shadow of it, but about the rest you must have no concern. And I, if it were not your will, why remain there? And he, it seems that my daughter wants to escape the state of victim, doesn't she? And I, all blushing, said, "No, Lord, I am saying this for those times in which you do not let me suffer and do not come. After all, let me suffer, and I will have no concerns." And Jesus, to me it seems that you want to escape. Besides, do you know when I intend to come and communicate my pains to you, whether at the first, the second, the third or even the last hour? So, by distracting yourself from me and trying to go out, you occupy yourself with something else, and when I come I will not find you prepared, and will turn around and go somewhere else. And I, all frightened, may this never be, O Lord. I want to know nothing but your most holy will. And he, remain calm and wait for the Confessor. Having said this, he disappeared. It seems I feel relieved of a heavy weight by this speaking of Jesus, but in spite of this, the sorrowful pain of when Jesus deprives me of himself has not decreased in me. April 9, 1900. Abandonment in God. This morning, having received communion, I was in a sea of bitternesses for I did not see my highest good, Jesus. I felt all of my interior alarmed when, in one instant, he made himself seen and told me, almost reproaching me, "Don't you know that not abandoning oneself in me is wanting to usurp the rights of my divinity, giving me a great affront?" Therefore, abandon yourself, calm all your interior in me, and you will find peace. And in finding peace, you will find me." Having said this, he disappeared like a flash, without letting himself be seen any more. Ah! Lord, keep me, yourself, all abandoned and well clasped in your arms, so that I may never escape, otherwise I will always make my little escapes. April 10, 1900. The desire to see Jesus draws him to the soul. Blessed Jesus continues not to come. O God, what an unspeakable pain his privation is. I tried as much as I could to remain at peace and all abandoned in him, but, no. My poor heart could take no more. I did as much as I could to calm it, saying, "My heart, let us wait a little longer. Who knows, he might come. Let us use some stratagems to draw him to come." So, turning to him, I said, "Lord, come, it is getting late and you have not come yet? This morning I am trying to remain calm as much as I can, yet, you do not let yourself be found? Lord, I offer you the martyrdom of your privation as a proof of love, and as a gift to induce you to come. It is true that I am not worthy, but it is not because I am worthy that I look for you. Rather, I do it out of love, and because without you I feel life missing in me." And since he was not coming, I said to him, "Lord, either you come, or I will tire you with my speaking, and when you are tired, even then you are not going to come. But who can say all my nonsense?" I told him so many things that I would be too long if I wanted to say everything. After this, I just barely saw my sweet Jesus moving in my interior, as if he were waking up from a sleep. Then he showed himself more clearly, and transporting me outside of myself, he told me, "Just as the bird flaps its wings when it must fly, so does the soul flap the wings of humility at the flights of her desires, and in that flapping she sends a magnet that attracts me, in such a way that while she takes wing to come to me, I take wing to go to her." Ah, Lord, it shows that I lack the magnet of humility. If I could spread the magnet of humility everywhere on my path, I would not have to struggle so much in waiting and waiting for your coming. April 16, 1900. The 3 signatures on the passport to enter beatitude on earth. Plot against the Church. After I went through bitter days of privation and of reproaches of blessed Jesus because of my ingratitude and resistance to his will and to his graces, this morning, upon coming, he told me, "My daughter, the passport to enter beatitude, which the soul can possess on this earth, must be signed with 3 signatures, and these are resignation, humility and obedience. Perfect resignation to my will is wax which melts our wills and forms a single one. It is sugar and honey. However, at a small resistance to my will, the wax separates, the sugar becomes bitter, and the honey turns into poison. Now, it is not sufficient to be resigned, but the soul must be convinced that the greatest good for herself and the best way to glorify me is to always do my will. Here is the necessity of the signature of humility, because humility produces this knowledge. But who ennobles these 2 virtues? Who fortifies them? Who renders them persevering? Who chains them together in such a way that they cannot separate? Who crowns them? Obedience. Ah, yes, completely destroying one's will and everything which is material, obedience spiritualizes everything, and like a crown, places itself around them. So, resignation and humility without obedience are subject to instability, but with obedience they will be fixed and stable. Here is the strict necessity of the signature of obedience. So that this passport may circulate in order to pass into the reign of spiritual beatitude, which the soul can enjoy down here. Without these 3 signatures, the passport will have no value, and the soul will be rejected by the reign of beatitude, and will be forced to remain in the reign of restlessness, of fears and of dangers, and to her misfortune, she will have her own self as God, and this self will have the cortege of pride and of rebellion. After this, he carried me outside of myself, into a garden, which seemed to be the garden of the Church. There I saw 5 or 6 people, priests and secular, who were going astray, and uniting with the enemies of the Church, started a revolution. How pitiful it was to see blessed Jesus crying over the sad state of these people. Then I looked in the air and I saw a cloud of water, full of large pieces of ice falling upon the earth. What a disaster they caused upon harvests and upon humanity! But I hope that he will calm down. Then, more afflicted than before, I came back into myself. April 20, 1900. The cross gives us the features and the likeness of Jesus. My adorable Jesus continues to come, for just a little and like a shadow, and even when he comes he does not say anything. This morning, after he renewed in me the pains of the cross as many as 2 times, looking at me with tenderness while I was suffering the spasm of the piercings of the nails, he told me, "The cross is a mirror in which the soul admires the divinity, and by reflecting herself in it, she acquires the features and the likeness which most resembles God. The cross must not only be loved and desired, but one must consider it an honor and a glory. This is to operate as God and to become like God by participation, because I alone gloried in the cross and considered suffering an honor, and I loved it so much that in my whole life I did not want to be one moment without the cross." Who can say what I understood about the cross from this speaking of blessed Jesus? But I feel mute in expressing it with words. Ah, Lord, I pray you to keep me always nailed to the cross, so that, having this divine mirror ever before me, I may clean all my stains and embellish myself ever more in your likeness. April 21, 1900. More than sacrament, the cross seals God in the soul. As I was in my usual state, or rather, with a little bit of concern about something which it is not necessary to say here, my sweet Jesus, on coming, told me, "And they are sacred vessels, and every once in a while it is necessary to dust them off. Your bodies are as many sacred vessels, in which I make my dwelling, therefore it is necessary that I do some little dusting every now and then, that is, that I visit them with some tribulation, so that I may remain in them with more decorum. Therefore, be calm." Later, after I received communion, having renewed in me the pains of the crucifixion, he added, "My daughter, how precious is the cross! See now, in giving itself to the soul, the sacrament of my body unites her with me, it transforms her, to the point that she becomes one with me. But as the species are consumed, the union, truly established, ceases. Not with the cross. The cross takes God and unites him with the soul forever, and it places itself more surely as a seal. Therefore, the cross seals God in the soul, in such a way that there is never separation between God and the crucified soul.